I'm in the reloading room and I have a number of components out here on the reloading table. And I'm going to be discussing the cost of these components. In the last video I made about the cost of reloading equipment for precision ammunition, I'd mentioned that I would make a video about the cost of components, and this is that video. I am an F-class shooter. More specifically, I shoot FTR. I would be considered a club shooter, and I shoot mostly in club matches, probably 3 or 4 different clubs and that are close to me in a couple of states. I don't shoot in regional or national matches, not yet. I've been doing this for about 2 years, and I consider myself kind of a mid-level shooter. This is a precision shooting game, and in FTR we can only use 308 or 223. I shoot 308. So with that kind of a setup, I'll jump into the cost. The first thing that I'll talk about is brass. The first thing I used in the reloading process. When I originally started shooting FTR, I shot Peterson brass. This is a very good quality brass. It's a small company. I don't know if you can. The camera is picking up the name Peterson here on these cases. These are pretty old cases. I bought this brass a couple of years ago when I first started shooting, and I've since retired this brass. The primer holes with the brass that I have, since the necks don't crack on my brass. I anneal every time, so what happens with my brass is the primer pockets get too large, and the primers themselves are kind of loose when I seat them. When they get too loose, I just retire the brass. But these are the old Peterson cases. Peterson's pretty good because when you buy 50, when I bought 50 brass, they shipped to me in these containers, so I could just load the brass and or load my rounds and then put them back in the containers that they came in. So that was kind of a nice thing. Peterson brass is currently not in stock. Right now it is May of 2023, but it does come in and out of stock. And when it does, these are about $55 per box, or $110 for 100 brass. Then I noticed that or talked to other F-class shooters, and FTR specifically, they would all shoot small rifle primer brass, and the standard for small rifle primer brass is Lapua small rifle brass, also called Lapua Palma. I have shot Lapua large rifle brass as well, but I switched over to small rifle primer brass because number one, all of the top shooters use Lapua Palma brass, and also it had been recommended to me by some of the people that I shoot with. So I use that. It's a very good brass, and once again, it is the standard for the top shooters. Lapua brass, unfortunately for Lapua Palma, is not being manufactured currently. Lapua suspended manufacture of the Palma cases indefinitely. So I don't know if and when they'll come back, but the last time I saw them in stock, they were $125 per 100. And I think that price was a little high. I think that was after the Lapua announced that they were no longer, or they were going to suspend production. It seemed like when I was buying Lapua, or when I bought this brass and a couple of others, it was about $100 case. But when it does come back, and I'm thinking that it'll come back more in that $125 price range. So I'd say $125 for 100 cases. Since Lapua Palma, Lapua suspended making the small rifle brass, I I did some research, and at the top of the list of small rifle primer 308 brass, Lapua and Alpha Munitions, OCD brass. Um, I've not shot this yet. I just purchased some of this brass and I'm saving it. I'm in the midst of building a new rifle. Currently, I'm shooting my backup rifle, and I'm saving my better components for the new, when my new rifle is finished being built. But I have read done quite a bit of research on this brass, and apparently it is very good. Alpha Munitions OCD small rifle primer brass. It comes in and out of stock. I have actually I've ordered it twice at 2 different times, and probably maybe 3 months apart. I can't actually remember, but it comes into stock somewhat frequently, and it is available. The price is but it's $115 for 100 cases. I kind of like this because it comes in these 100 round cases. These are a nice size to take to the range for a match. You can keep all the loads in here. And it does look like this case is tall enough to load out long with longer bullets. So that's the Alpha Munitions brass. So after the brass, the next thing in the reloading process is primers. So I'll talk about the primers next. When I first started FTR shooting, I used large rifle primer brass, and then I switched over to small rifle primer brass. And with large rifle primer brass, I did have some bench rest. These are standard CCI large rifle number 200. There's another CCI makes bench rest. They're BR2s, bench rest large rifle primers. I used those, and I couldn't really tell the difference. Certainly couldn't tell the difference on the target between this large rifle and the bench rest, which are much more expensive. Now I could tell the difference, not on the target, but I could tell the difference when I was sorting them. I always have sorted my primers by weight, and I noticed that the variance in these standard CCI was more than the bench rest. So the bench rest had a tighter extreme spread in weights. That was really the only difference. But as I'd mentioned, I switched over to small rifle primer brass. I still have some Lapua from way back when, large rifle primer brass, and I still use these, but I've stopped using them. And once that brass is worn out, I probably won't shoot large rifle primer anymore. When I started shooting small rifle primer, I read, and everybody told me, oh, you've got to buy Magnum small rifle primers or BR4 small rifle primers. Which are bench rest, CCI bench rest. These are the Magnums and the bench rest primers. But I had some small rifle primers already, and I just used those. I sorted them, and I got pretty good results with them. So I never did buy the Magnums or the BR4s. However, what happened was I started shooting heavier bullets in these Berger 220X, and the loads that I had were not really hot loads, but what they would, because of the additional bearing surface on the larger bullets, I noticed that the small rifle primers, the CCIs, would crater. The primers would start cratering. So I was thinking that I had pressure problems when, so what I did was I switched to when I was using the 220Xs, I switched to the Remington 7.5 bench rest primers. The reason why is because these are the cup is thicker than the CCI, the standard CCI. So with the bench rest primers, I didn't have that problem. My cases weren't, my primers weren't cratering, and I even, with these, I blew a couple, I pierced a couple. That never happened with these. The only reason why I had these is because a couple of years ago during the shortage, you could not get primers at all. No primers were available. None were ever in stock. But one day I caught these in stock, and not only were they in stock, but there wasn't a limit of one case or one brick or two bricks. I was able to buy more than one brick. So I did that, and I really only bought them because I was worried about running out one day of the CCIs, and I never did use them until I tried that. They turned out to be really good primers, so I do have a few more of these, and these are really good. Also, then I switched to, got some BR4s. Those are thicker as well than the small rifle primer, so those in my loads did not crater the case. And I've also bought some of these small rifle primers because they're constantly in stock, small rifle magnums, but I have not yet developed a load with those. These large rifle primers currently, again, it's May of 2023, these are not in stock anywhere. I don't know why. Maybe because the manufacturers are putting these in loaded factory rounds. I don't know, whatever the reason. For some reason, it's kind of odd that large rifle primers wouldn't be in stock, but when they were in stock, they were about $95 a brick. Actually, I recently saw these in stock for about a couple of weeks ago, but they were like $130 a brick. The company that was selling them must have got a hands on some and were kind of gouging, I think, but normally these are $95. Once they come back into stock, after the shortage of large rifle primers, they start coming back into stock. These will probably be similar price as the others, $95. Small rifle primers right now, CCI number 400s, these are about $95 a brick. Same thing with the magnums. Magnums are widely available. They're always in stock now for some reason. Or for a little while there you couldn't get them, but now they're in stock. These are also about $95. The Remington 7.5s, I see those in stock from time to time. They are about $100 a brick. And the CCI BR4s and also the old BR2s that I used to use, I don't have anymore. I'm not going to buy any, but they are about $150, $170 per brick. So these are pretty pricey, and they're always in stock probably because of the high price. That's it for primers. Next thing I'll talk about is, next thing I would load with is powder. And when I first started shooting FTR, I had some IMR 4064. I think I used to use this for 223 plinking or something. But anyway, I already had it. Oh, let me say something about the primers. The primers, mainly I talk about CCI because that's what I have. There's no reason why I have the CCIs. I don't know if they're any better than the Federals or any of the other primers. It's just that the local gun store that used to be around me stocked those CCI primers. I did, prior to those, I had some Wolf, I think, small rifle primers. I had some large rifle Federals. I also had large rifle Magnum Federal primers, and that other, anyway, I had some other primers, but it's just that I started buying CCI. I don't know if they're any better than any others. It's just that that's what I happen to have. And same thing with these. I don't know if they're any better than the others. It's just what I happened to catch in stock, and I bought them. That's what I have, and those are the prices on those. So IMR 4064, along the same lines, it's what I started loading with, and I used it. IMR is a pretty versatile. IMR 4064 is similar to Varget and burn rate. Varget and burn rate. However, IMR is more temperature sensitive than Varget. Varget's an extreme powder, and it's less temperature sensitive than a lot of the other powders. IMR is less sensitive than some of the other IMR powders, but it's not as, it's more temperature sensitive than Varget. At any rate, IMR is a very good powder, but I did switch to Varget. I noticed that a lot of the top shooters were using Varget, it is also a little bit more versatile than the IMR 4064. It meters a little bit well. It's easier to measure than IMR 4064 because IMR 4064 is really big granules. At any rate, IMR 4064 currently is about $45 a pound, $325 for an 8-pound jug. The next powder, as I mentioned before, I switched over to Varget. I read about a lot of the top shooters using Varget, and also a lot of my peers that I shoot with at the club matches were telling me that they're using Varget. Varget's a pretty good powder, so I guess you should give it a try. I did. It worked out really well. I would have used Varget before. But I had the IMR 4064. Also, IMR 4064 during the shortage I was able to purchase it, whereas Varget would never come in stock or rarely came in stock, and when it did, could only buy. I was limited to buying maybe 2 or up to 5. I think you could buy up to 5 1-pounds. I couldn't buy 8-pound jugs. I never saw them in stock. Couldn't buy 10 or 15 pounds of this at one time. So hazmat on 5 was kind of expensive, but I was able to get a little bit of Varget, and I switched over to it, and I used IMR 464 as the backup. At any rate, Varget is a very good powder, very versatile. A lot of the top shooters use it. I have noted that lately a lot of the top shooters have switched to Vitavori, N140 and N150. I have yet to try those. I don't know if I will. I'm pretty happy with Varget. I am saving my Varget for my new rifle build. So once it's built, I'll go back to using only Varget there. But Varget is it is available currently. It comes in stock, and it's pretty regularly in stock. $48 a pound though for Varget, and then $350 for an 8-pound jug. So it's not much more than IMR 4064, but it is a little bit more pricey. This is an IMR bottle, that IMR 3031 that I happen to have, but I have Shooter's World Precision in it. I've only bought one 8-pound jug of Shooter's World Precision, and I don't like to use a jug to fill the hopper, so I just repurposed this IMR bottle. So it's not IMR, it is Shooter's World Precision in here. Shooter's World Precision is, I just use this, pretty good powder. I just use this in my load I just recorded a series of load development videos, and I'm using this Shooter's World Precision. I got the Shooter's World Precision in the midst of the crisis. This was the time when I would say Varget was rarely in stock. Even IMR 4064 was hard to get. So I was worried about running out of either or both of them, and I happened to see Shooter's World Precision in stock, 8-pound jugs. So on impulse, I just bought it. As it turns out, Shooter's World Precision is a very good powder. My load development that I used and I made videos of, it's worked out pretty well. And since my load development video, I've adjusted my seating depth a little bit more toward the lands. So if you watch my videos, I stop and I say I'm gonna maybe update the video one day because I wanted to load some more loads closer to the lands. Well, I've done that since the end of that video, and it's worked out very well. So I may very well make a follow-up video to that long series. As you can tell, most of my videos seem to be kind of long-winded. I try to make 10-minute videos, but they end up being 30 minutes. So let me continue on quickly so I can wrap this one up. Shooter's World Precision is about $44 a pound right now, and $320 for an 8-pound jug. So it's a little bit less expensive, but roughly $45 on average for powder that I would use in a precision load. So these are not plinking loads. So these are premium, I would call, Venturous primers, Hodgdon Varget, Burger bullets, kind of premium, and Alpha Munitions OCD brass premium reloading components. All right, so the last thing in loading is to seat a bullet. So the bullets that I use, Sierra Match King, 175 grain Match Kings. These are very good bullets. In the past, many years ago, they were the standard in match shooting. Since then, they've kind of, Burger's been favored by a lot of the top shooters. But the Match Kings are still very good bullets. I shot, originally when I first started shooting FTR, I used these Sierra Match Kings mainly because of the price. They're cheaper than the Burgers. Then when I got more serious about it and more competitive, I started shooting the Burgers. But these are fine. I still use them. I shoot them as so in my load development video, I'm using Match Kings because they're very good bullets, but also I'm saving my more premium components, the Burgers, for my new rifle build. I never shot these out to 1,000. They will shoot 1,000 yards, but I've always only shot Burgers out to 1,000 yards. But I still use these in my backup rifle, and that's what I'm shooting now until my new rifle is built at 300 and 600 yard matches, and they shoot fine. I'm able to shoot high master scores with these. So these are $40 for a box of 100, and it's maybe $40 to $45, and really I buy them in 500 boxes, but there's really not much of a price difference. 5 of these 100 round boxes is $200, and oftentimes a 500 bullet box, a box of 500 bullets is $200 to $225. So that's the price. It's about $40 to $45 for 100, $200 to $225 for 500. Going on to the Burgers. So Burgers are the mainstay for the top shooters, and the Burger 220X hybrids are either those or the 200 hybrids. If you look at any of the top shooters, what they're shooting is these, either the 220X or the 200 hybrids, mainly the 220X. Also, previous to these being, these haven't been out these are relatively new compared to some of the others, but the Juggernauts are also very highly recommended by the top shooters, as well as some of the F-class match shooters, my peers. They let me know about these. The 185 grain Burger Juggernauts are a very good bullet. I use these. I shot them at mid-range at 600. I've shot high master scores with them, but I really have saved these for to shoot 1,000. Same thing with the 220X. So that's why I'm not shooting them now, really, because I'm not shooting 1,000. I've since gotten rid of my 1,000-yard gun. That's because I'm building a new one. My timing was off a little bit on that. I should have kept the other one until the new one was built, but anyway, that's how things work out. I had to sell parts of it so I could finance my new build. At any rate, I'm not shooting these now, I'm saving them. One thing is, these Juggernauts come into stock maybe twice a year. It's been a long time since they were last in stock. They are actually currently in stock. I think they came in stock maybe late March or April, and they only last for about a month or 6 weeks. So they have been in stock for the last month. They're probably close to out of stock or out of stock now, but I was able to buy a few of them, and so I'm keeping them in reserve till I get the new rifle. The Burger 220X, I originally started, when I built my 1,000-yard rifle, I only used the 220X, so I bought 500 of them. They were in stock. I bought 500 of them, and I shot about halfway through those, and I thought, well, I better get some more. So I bought another 500, and this was over about a month period of time. And then after that, they went out of stock. And that was, I think, last year, probably around June, July, I think I was getting ready to jump to 1,000. I hadn't shot. I've only been shooting 1,000 for a little while. But I was getting ready to jump to 1,000, and then they went out of stock, and they just didn't come back in stock. So I stopped shooting them and only shot the Berger. That's really why I started shooting the Berger 185s, to keep these on reserve, to save them for larger matches. And I still have them. They never went back into stock, and I haven't been shooting them. I heard in December of last year that they were going to come back in. Berger was going to make a run of them, and they were going to come back into stock for in January or February of 2023. They never have. Here we are in May, and they still haven't come back in stock. I just read recently that they'll probably come back into stock in another month or two, so maybe June or July, they will come back into stock, which will be almost a year since they were last in stock. So when they do come in, the last time they were they stayed in stock for quite a while. When I say quite a while, 5 or 6 weeks or so. I remember from the time I bought my first box of them, I thought, I'm good. I don't need to buy 2. I'll just buy 1, and then when I need some more, I'll buy some more. Well, luckily I bought that other 500 because they haven't been in stock since. So this time I'll probably pick up another box. If they stay in stock long enough, I might be able to get 2. I can't afford really to buy 2 or 3 boxes at once, boxes of 500 at once, but I might get another stock, and then just kind of hold on to them and only use them for big matches. So these are both of these are pretty equal in price. These are about $60 for 100, which is kind of pricey. These may be $60 or $65, but roughly $60 a 100 as well. But once again, never in stock. And the same thing, $300 to $325 for 500 of these, boxes of 500 of those. So that's all the components and the prices on them. Before I wrap up, I would like to talk about buying these in bulk. And so if I was to start shooting FTR, or which is happening, if I was to want to buy a bunch of components all at one time for a rifle, it's a good idea to buy a bunch of things at one time, because that way the lots don't change. And when you do finally get a load, or at least when I finally develop a load, I'm able to shoot that load for a long time through a bunch of components, because once you switch lots of bullets, primers, powder, or even brass, there's some work to do. Once you change the bullet, I have to go out and test those bullets and make sure, maybe move the seating depth around to get them to shoot again. Have to do a little bit of load development again on, it could be the same Varga, but it's a different lot. It will act differently. So what I was thinking is, if I were to go out and buy all of the components at once, if I was either a new shooter or I've got a new rifle, to get them all, I would buy 1,000 of these bench rest primers, and of the Remington 7.5s, and I would buy 1,000 BR4s. I happen to have them already, but I would buy those, and the price on those, about $100, $150 on average, 125, but it's both of these boxes would be about $250. So $250 for primers. Then I would get the bullets. Hopefully these would be in stock, but if not, I would buy the juggernauts. I would buy probably 500 of either these or the 220Xs, and 500 Match Kings. The Match Kings I would shoot in mid-range matches. These I would shoot in long-range matches. And also these I could practice with. And once the 500 ran out, I could buy another 500 and then measure them and then do the seating depth. It's pretty easy to switch lots of bullets. So that would be 1,000 bullets to keep me busy for a while. That would be enough. and that would be about $325 for 500 of the burgers, $225 for 500 of the Match Kings. That'd be 1,000 bullets, $550. I would buy 2 jugs, 8-pound jugs of Varget. So I'd wait for it in stock, and then I'd buy 2 8-pound jugs all at once. And those are $350 for an 8-pound jug. That'd be $700. Currently, the only brass that I could get, I guess I could get the Peterson brass. It does come in stock. It comes in stock. The small rifle primer, these were large rifle that I originally started with, but they do have small rifle primer brass. It's what I would buy. Either that or the OCD, Alpha Munitions OCD brass. I was able to buy this recently, so this is what I would, and I would need at least 200 of them. So I'd buy 2 of these boxes. 2 of these boxes would be $115 a box, $230. So for, if I could buy the Lapua brass, if it was in stock, I would buy 2 of those, but I can't. Also, maybe if Alpha Munitions turns out to be, if it'll shoot well for me, I think I'll just switch over to Alpha Munitions because you know, it's not good to run out of brass and not be able to have brass. And I don't really want to switch from brand to brand. So Alpha Munitions, I believe, will continuously be in stock. So I think I'm going to stick with them if they shoot well. I believe they will. So the total price of the components, either for a new rifle or if I was just getting into F-class today, would be about $1,730. But that would be a pretty good bit of components, but $1,730 price tag for all of them all at once. Also, I thought about what is the price per round. So to wrap up the video, I'll go over that, and I've taken some averages based on the prices that I've had. So on average, about $45 a pound for powder, and a pound of powder lasts, or it has 7,000 grains in it, and a pound, and I'm using, I think 43, 42, 45. I don't think I used 45, but up to 45 grains. I think I used 45 grains for the calculation anyway, and that turned out to be about 20 cents a round for powder. 29 cents a round for powder. For the brass, saying that the brass was $125 per 100. I'm not sure how many times I used a calculator to reload. It was either 25 or 30 or maybe in between. I can't remember, but turned out it was about 8 cents a round. So, you know, 8 to 10 cents a round, let's say, maybe even cheaper. Brass is the cheapest of the components because it's it'll be used over and over and over and many times. I got maybe 25 or 30 rounds out of this. I've got some Lapua brass that I'm now, both large rifle and small rifle, that I have probably 20 plus rounds on. I have some newer brass. Once again, I'm saving that. But it lasts for a long time. It's one of the cheaper components. Brass is almost negligible because it's being reused. The most expensive component over the long run is the bullets at $300 for every 500. For 2,000 rounds, that would be $1,200. For $1,200, that's more. I could replace a barrel and then some. So just the bullets alone, over 2,000 rounds, cost more than a brand new custom barrel, installed, chambered, and by a top gunsmith. So, and then I would have money left over to buy primers. So bullets are very expensive. That is the most expensive. So bullets per round, 100 rounds for $60. That's 60 cents a bullet. Primers, although they seem expensive, $100 for a little box of primers like that seems like a lot of money. $150 for the same box seems like a lot of money, but on average it's about $125, and that's what I would have. So thinking about that, though, it's 1,000 rounds. So even at $125, 12 and a half cents a round, or let's round it up to 13 cents a round for precision load. So these are bench rest primers. Everything here, once again, precision brass, high-end precision, high-end powder, bench rest primers, and burger bullets. Everything. So bullets are, powder is 29 cents a round. The brass is 8 cents a round. Bullets are 60 cents a round. Primers are 13 cents a round. The total is per round $1.10. So that's really not bad. I've mentioned before in my videos that I load 76 rounds for each match, and of that so that would be 76 and 730 would be, or 76, it'd be 83.60, I think, something like that, but say $85. $85 a match is not bad. And for those of you that golf, I haven't golfed in a number of years, but by the time you get through with green fees, cart, golf balls, because golf balls, you wear them out after you use them, or plus lose them, hit them in the water, hit them in the woods, whatever. I'm pretty sure that that cost is at least $85, probably more. So it's not to shoot a match, it's not terribly expensive. However, if 3 matches a month, it can get up there in cost. Plus, if I'm shooting a lot, that doesn't count practice rounds, and that doesn't count load development rounds. So for every round at the match I shoot, probably I end up shooting 2 rounds or more in practice and load development. I work on those things a lot, rather than, I don't just shoot at matches. Obviously, when I shoot 3 matches a month, that's pretty much all I'm shooting, because that's a lot of shooting every weekend. It's taking up a lot of weekends. But at any rate, once again, $85 for a match I don't think is too terrible. So that's the cost of the components. In the future, I will talk about the cost of the rifle itself. I'm waiting on the new build, and then I'll discuss the cost of both my backup rifle and my primary rifle. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I also hope to see you next time.